what's up guys, it's Lucas and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't subscribed, scroll down, click the subscribe button, it really helps me out. You can also click the bell if you'd like to get notifications every time I upload a new video. So today we're checking out this guitar. This is the Rivolta Combinata, or Combinata, I think it's Combinata 1 or Junior. So as you can see, it's pretty obviously a nod to the classic Les Paul Juniors of the 1950s. But with, of course, its own very unique style and everything. So this has got some really interesting specs, and it's a great sounding and feeling guitar. So let's talk about a little bit about how it's made. So this guitar is a mahogany body. It's a solid mahogany body, no chambering or anything. Because I think some of the other guitars in the Rivolta line are kind of the similar shape, but they're chambered. This is solid mahogany. It has a set maple neck. This is black, so you can't see it, but this is a maple neck. The fingerboard is made of pal ferro. However, this is a particularly dark piece, so I couldn't have told you this wasn't rosewood. I don't know what the nut is made of, but it looks something along the lines of like Graphtec Tusk type nuts. It has, I believe these are Wilkinson tuners. Yeah, these are Wilkinson tuners. They're very much in the style of kind of vintage Clouson type tuners with the kind of little bean buttons on the end. Very nice touch. Interesting things about this guitar, besides the fact that it has this really beautiful kind of, I don't know if you can see it here, but it's got this beautiful carve in the top, which I believe is called a German carve, but it is just really, really nice. It just really, you know, is an aesthetically pleasing choice, I think. And it's also very comfortable underneath your arm. The guitar is, you might expect it to be a 24 3/4 inch scale guitar, but this is actually a 25 inch scale guitar, which I really like because that's the PRS scale, and I kind of have gotten used to that, and I think it's a little bit more taut, obviously, than 24 3/4 like a Gibson traditional scale, but it's not quite as taut as a Fender like 25 1/2 inch scale, so it's a nice middle ground. So you still have, you know, you can use, you know, if you want to tune half step down or something, it kind of feels the same as a regular like Gibson type guitar with the same gauge strings. But interesting, this guitar has 24 frets, which you would think a guitar that's kind of vintagey looking retro like this would have maybe 21 or 22. But this one actually has the full 24, and the way that this cutaway is done, you can really get to that 24th fret. I mean, like, no problem at all. You can get right up there. And so aesthetically, it kind of took me a minute to get used to the way that this looks, because it is a little bit kind of different, I guess. It kind of has some of the aesthetics of traditional Gibson and traditional Fender, but there's also some like Rickenbacker and like Gretsch and stuff kind of thrown in there. It's a very interesting blend of styles, and it ends up being very unique. It's got a wraparound tailpiece, which is compensated so that it is intonated. And a single P90 pickup, which this is their Rivolta Novanta P90 pickup. A single volume and a single tone. All that stuff is mounted in the pick guard here in the front. A word on that, I don't know, I haven't opened it up to see how this is wired or what kind of pots or anything they're using, but I will say that it cleans up really nicely. It doesn't get kind of like, it doesn't sound like this when you roll the volume off, which is great. And the tone control works really, really well as well. There's a, you know, it doesn't feel like a just kind of on-off thing. It does feel like a gradual thing, and in a really nice way. So I really have nothing negative to say about this guitar. I think it's very well made, and the design is unique and forward-thinking, but also kind of retro at the same time. So I really dig it. These guitars come in for, I think, right about maybe $900. So that's not, you know, too terribly off from like a Gibson Junior, but this is a very different type of guitar, and so this is going to appeal to a certain kind of player. But of course, these are designed by Dennis Fano, and he's responsible for the Fano guitars and Novo guitars and Rivolta and some other stuff. But it's a very cool design. I like the neck profile a lot. It's not super chunky, but it definitely feels like a vintagey type neck. Like there's a little bit of mass to it, which I really like. So let's check out some of the sounds of the guitar. We'll start with a very clean sound. No delay, just a little bit of reverb, and that sounds like this. Interestingly, one of the cool things about this kind of guitar with the wraparound tailpiece in particular, you can do this with a lot of guitars, but in particular with the wraparounds, I've noticed if you kind of pick real close to the bridge, you can get a kind of twangy, compressed, pseudo-telly thing going on. So that sounds like this if you just kind of pick a little farther back. Alright, so now we're going to hop over to a kind of medium gain classic rock type setting. This is, I think, where P90s in particular shine, is this kind of sound, and this guitar is no exception. It's got wonderful string-to-string clarity. You can play big chords and really lay into the guitar, and it kind of expresses whatever you put into it. So get your Pete Townsend on, you know. So you can hear that kind of nice roll-off happening with the volume when I play with the volume control there. It sounds to me as if there is either a treble bleed kind of cap on the volume control, or it's a very specific kind of maybe like 50s type wiring or something. Like I said, I haven't pulled this off to look, but it sounds really good. And to me, that's a good thing, that when, you know, I don't get the guitar and mess with the volume control and think, oh cool, I can't use the volume control until I change something on this, because that's how I am a lot of times with some of the, you know, import type guitars. But this is not the case. It's a very usable guitar right out of the box. So let's go over to a heavier gain sound, and you can hear, despite the fact that it is kind of a very retro, you know, looking guitar, and it has just kind of a P90 in it, you can get pretty gnarly sounding with this if you want to. So I'll do some chugga stuff. Alright, and finally, just so you can hear what it sounds like in this context, here's a high gain lead sound with some overdrive and delay. And of course, anytime you have a P90, you know, a mahogany body guitar, it has a certain sound about it, and this guitar does that really, really well. But it feels really nice, and I think it sustains well, and it has a nice like kind of feedback loop even coming through my little monitors here. So anyway, that sounds like this. All right, that's the Rivolta Combinata, or Combinata, I'm not sure which one, junior guitar. These are designed by Dennis Fano, and they are distributed, as far as I know, by Eastwood Guitars. It's an excellent guitar, really. I have nothing negative to say about it. I mean, you either like this kind of body style or you don't, because like I said, it is a little bit kind of retro looking and not in the most traditional way. But I find that it sounds good, it feels good, it sits on a strap really nice, and I have nothing negative to say about it. So I just think this is a great guitar, and I think you should check one out. If you were on the fence about getting one of these, if you like this kind of style of guitar, but you're like, I don't know, do I want to buy one that's made wherever this is made? I'm going to guess probably China. But yeah, it's great. Like, you don't need to upgrade anything on this guitar. It comes right out of the box exactly the way it should be, so I have nothing but positive things to say. But anyway, I hope this has been helpful and informative for you, and until next time, I will catch you later.